Don't think he's going to survive that. In fact, I'm sure of it. Warning, this video contains graphic images of deadly spiders that can kill you. Do not attempt to keep these spiders as pets. Well, hello, this is a video where I'll be taking a look at my beautiful deadly pet spiders that I have in this home here that I built for them. This is now 1 week down after setting up this home. What I've quite simply done is I'm going to put a silver dot here for each week it progresses. I've finished off the top with some muslin cloth because I was worried the fine mesh on this was a little bit too big for some of the critters who live inside. I'm pretty sure into this I've put in 3 female redback spiders and 1 male. A couple of insects went in there as well. We'll investigate where these spiders are 1 week later, see who has been eaten and see who's still alive. Before we take a close look at what's going on in there is something outside I need to show you which is rather disturbing. This here was where the major infestation was found. I have put some of the toys back in ornaments because I bet you the spiders will come back up here and make this their home again. I've had a good careful look around. I can't see any signs of redbacks setting up home again. But my thought on this is it's best to keep your friends close and your enemies even closer. I've instructed my family not to touch these toys, not to play here at all. And I'm sure it won't be long until we see some redback action back here again. There are the tubs of water that I used to flush out a lot of the redback spiders from the toys. But as I found out and as you saw, it didn't kill the spiders. They were actually quite happy to be in water. But what is extremely disturbing, and these were the cleaned out toys that went through the water tubs. A lot of them had the fire breathing as well. I'm starting to see redbacks setting up again. Even though I thought I was very thorough in looking through all these toys, firebombing them and putting water through them, I'm starting to see spiderweb set up. And underneath this truck here is what I believe is juvenile redback spiderweb. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. If I'm wrong, please let me know. Now the very sinister part to this is you have to look really carefully to find the redback in this one. I believe it's a male, and we're going to take a very close look right down here. It's extremely difficult to see. Right in the middle of the screen is the redback. I don't know whether it's a spiderling or a male. I really can't tell. It's extremely small, but we're going to get rid of this spider right now. Very tricky to see that very small spider. It can be the start of the spider apocalypse again if I don't get rid of it. But what you need to understand is the way they make their webs, and that is the way I tend to find where these spiders are. They've got very random, shaggy looking webs. I thought I was very thorough when I went through all that stuff there, and I really thought there wouldn't be a spider left alive. Obviously I was wrong, so the very simple thing to do is to firebomb him. Don't think he's going to survive that. In fact, I'm sure of it. Well, the plastic toy is looking a little bit worse for wear, but so is Mrs. Spider, and there's not a breath of life in her. And to make sure I've got them all, I better give all this a lick of fire, because I'd hate to think that there's another one in here somewhere. To be sure, to be sure. Okay, I think that's done the trick. Well, let's come back inside and just check out to see if I can find all the spiders that I originally put into the little spider home here. I have to come in and remove the extra protection, as I call it, to stop things from escaping. I really felt that gauze there was a little bit too open. Ooh, okay, well there's my Mrs. Spider there at the top. I wonder if she's playing an escape. Who knows what they've been up to. Be curious to see who's dead and alive. Well, the first bit of curious thing is something in there has laid eggs or done something here against the tape. I haven't got a clue in identifying that. There'll be some entomologist or expert who can tell me what that there is. One large female is living the high life, living upside down against the gauze at the top. Also notice that green bug there. I put that in last week. It is still alive. It's dangerously close to that redback. Living the high and very dangerous life indeed. The other large female is living in front of that tractor there, noticing all the spiderlings that we saw last week have dissipated. Maybe they've been eaten, maybe they're living somewhere else. If you look carefully there right near the middle of the screen is one of the spiderlings. It's actually looking a bit bigger than last week, so sure, some have survived. The smaller female is set up at the back of the truck under the caterpillar sign. It's a great ad for Caterpillar. behind the front blade on the truck, there's another spiderling that's set up home, and another one there right behind the blade as well, right in the middle of the screen. That moth there was one I introduced last week. It was eaten by one of the female redbacks, and that's all that's left. If you look carefully, there's a ladybug down near the number 1 of Thomas. I put those in during the week. I think some of the crickets have survived. I think all up there's 4 crickets in there. Whether we can see 4 is another question. But the spider I'm looking for at the moment is the male redback. It's a very small spider, and I'm going to have to search very carefully high and low to see if I can find him. Very tricky to video. It's an extremely small spider. That is the male there. It's actually dangling under the wire gauze. It isn't that far from the other female it's dangling, but very, very tricky to spot. That's the thing about these spiders. The females can be very easy to see, but the males are like vanishing acts. He's actually just scooting by and screener. He's moving around. Very, very tricky, this spider to see. Extremely small. There's a cricket there who was playing a life and death game because just around the corner, well, look who you have living there. One day, you're going to be dinner, I'm sure of it. The very large woody or cockroach that I put in there is actually paired up with another one. I don't know whether I can show that on YouTube or not. What has surprised me is how active the male is. The females sort of just sit there in the web. This male is darting all over the place, looks like it's making web, but it's being very social. That moth is one I introduced about halfway through the week when I saw the other one got eaten. It looks like they like to eat moths. I see the ladybugs are scampering around. In fact, the more I look, the more ladybugs I see. I think all up I put 3 or 4 in there. I love climbing on Thomas for some reason. Something about Thomas that attracts ladybugs. Maybe it's something about the colour of that toy. But for a while there, I keep thinking the ladybug is eating the spider web. Who knows? Watch out, that's a dangerous spot to be on, Thomas. You get chuffed off in an instant. The spider web in there is basically everywhere. There's some bits you can see very clearly. There's other bits you can't see at all. The egg sac that opened up is sort of diminished, but there is another egg sac there, which I believe is a huntsman one, is still there, and nothing has come out of that yet. The suggestion to do this was Beammaster22. When he saw I had that spider infestation, he saw it as a valuable time to study the spiders, and for me to do something that I normally wouldn't do. In fact, I think this has been an incredible thing to do because my son has loved looking inside this every day. It's been like the constant of this last week. He's very curious to see where the spiders have got to and to see who has been eaten and who is still alive. I think the part that sort of surprised me is just how alive it is in there. It's one of these things, the more you look in there, the more you see life. Right next to Thomas there is a green shoot. It reminded me of Wally. Remember that Wally story? And the whole thing about trying to find the green shoot. There's actually another very, very small one kicking off there, right in the middle of the screen, tiny. If I come and look at the back area there, there's actually another sprout kicking off there, right near the dead moth. And there's Mr. Dynamo. That is the male redback spider. He's very active here. He's down on the ground there doing his stuff. He seems to be very, very happy in there. Mind you, he is surrounded by 3 females. I wasn't surprised at all to see that toy there. Is a nice home for the spiders and the crickets. I love being on that, and the spiderlings as well. Thomas, of course, has been another favourite. There's always been critters crawling all over Thomas, but what is perplexing, and maybe the audience can explain to me, rarely do I see anything on the Millennium Falcon there, and I don't understand why. Maybe it's something to do with the colour or the shape, or maybe it's because it's connected to Disney. The moth there's been very active. I'm not exactly sure what moths eat, but it seems to be always fluttering around. There we go. Did you know moths and crickets can talk? I often see them conversing in here and the spiders ignoring them. It's sort of crazy. I dare say the spiders are totally overfed in this enclosure. I'd hate those poor things to be starved of food. We'd hate to see them perish. But much to my surprise, doing this has been actually a really, really interesting and nice thing to do. It's probably highly illegal. Well, that scared me then when that popped down. I thought it was a redback biting me. Highly illegal thing to do because people will say, oh, but the redback spiders are protected. Didn't you know that, Leo? Well, for the moment, and I'm saying moment, these guys are my prisoner pets. Teeming with life in there has been a little bit of death, but each week what I'm going to do is introduce something new in there. I'm not an entomologist. I have no idea what this thing is. All I know is it looks like it's got bitey things at the back. I know my audience is going to ID this thing for me. And I think it looks like something that will become spider food. Look at that thing. Wow, look at those back pincer things. That is very, very scary. It looks like it wants to bite its own head off. Oh man, imagine being that. That is crazy. That thing, look at that. That's biting onto those tweezers there and not letting go. It has to be one of the strangest things I've seen. I've seen them bigger than this, but even at that scale there, I wouldn't want it near my finger at all. Looks like it'd really hurt. I'll carefully open this up and come in and drop in this horror thing. Boy, oh boy, I hope this thing gets eaten up really fast. Don't like the look of that thing at all. Good night, sister. Well, there it is in there. It hasn't worked out the horror box that it's entered yet. I'm pretty sure that sooner or later it will. Well, there it goes there. It's just burrowed itself down behind those woodies there. The other thing I'm going to introduce is this spider that I found in the back door of our house. You'll see it clearer when it's out of this container here. I was going to put a daddy longlegs in, and I've got some footage of one of those guys in my house, and people have said to me the daddy longlegs kill the redbacks. I'm struggling with that idea because, as far as I know, where redbacks live is not where daddy longlegs spiders live. Daddy longlegs are often up very high in the ceiling area, and redback spiders are often down very, very low against the ground. If you're curious, I did feed a spider a cricket, and I put another one in there. Well, there is one which is alive, and right next to it is what happens to a cricket once it was eaten by that spider. It's been sucked up to nothing. Yeah, before it was eaten by a spider, it would look like that, and it was turned into that. That's very scary, isn't it? Anyway, I put a cricket in, the more the merrier, I say, and that one's trying to escape. Back in you go. Come on, ladybug, down you go as well. And then this spider, which I have got no idea what its name is, probably got a proper name, and I'll bring her into her new home. Enjoy it in there, and as she's trying to escape, you'll have fun. There's a nice view of that new spider. I dare say it's called a stick spider or something, a little bit like a stick insect. Once they're in the garden, you can barely see them. I wonder how long it's going to be until she realises she's not in Kansas anymore. Well, it's a very curious balance of nature going on inside that controlled environment there. There's always going to be winners and losers. I'm not sure whether I've introduced anything in there which would kill redback spiders. At the moment, I think they've got the edge across anything else, but then again, I may be wrong. I hope you've learned something about spiders in this video. It has been very interesting setting this up, but be very careful if you do this because dangerous things, well, they're dangerous. I'll come back in a week's time and take a look at what's going on in week 2 update. As always, thanks for watching and bye for now. I hope that cricket isn't eating the garden in there. Hey, it's taken me all week to grow that. Get away.